So what we will start with is what are the benefits of multinational companies? Because there are not only bad things about multinational companies, and it's important that you are able to weigh them up against each other. Then we'll talk about what are the disadvantages of these multinational companies, and can we get rid of the disadvantages and keep the benefits? And what is needed to get rid of the disadvantages? Is it difficult to get rid of these disadvantages? And why have the disadvantages not been dealt with a long time ago? So, give me at least 3 benefits of multinational companies. Benefits that you see of multinational companies. Why are there some benefits to multinational companies? What do we benefit from these companies? Yes?
You get access to products and services that you won't have otherwise.
Why would you want to have it otherwise?
Maybe you can, I don't know. Maybe there's some other way to organize that, but if Facebook was like just a US company, then we would have the laws of the US governing Facebook, and maybe the same laws wouldn't be used here in Norway. So maybe we can use Facebook. I don't know.
Well, I don't see why then you could have another Facebook in Norway.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I think a central example would be fruit. You won't be able to eat different kind of fruits in Norway.
Okay, why not?
Because you don't have it. You have to.
While a Norwegian company could import bananas.
That would be really expensive for a Norwegian company to do it Norway.
Okay, why?
Because, like a company which is in that country could do it easily, then a company in Norway to go and do it there, and then, you know, cultivate it, and then get the fruit, and then bring it to Norway. Isn't it hard?
That was actually what was done before.
Wasn't it hard?
No.
I couldn't see it. I don't know.
The only thing you need is an exporting company in the banana producing republic, transportation company, which is distributing across the world, and a company in Norway which is buying. This happened 20 years ago. Yes?
It's about the currencies, like, you know, like Norwegian krona, when it gets down, then the dollar is rising, so it's like more...
So what does that have to do with the multinational company?
Does that not have to do with multinational company?
It can have, but currencies affect all companies. So currently we have no benefits of multinational companies. Yes?
It depends on if you're speaking benefits for public society or if you're speaking benefits for multinational companies.
Okay, I'm not talking about benefits for multinational companies. I'm talking about what are the benefits for the society of multinational companies. Zip and zero. We have no benefit of multinational companies. Yes.
They can use information that they're getting access to from, for example, Silicon Valley to develop products that can easily be shipped all over the world instead of each company in each country having to pay high sums for patents and other information on technology to build their own iPhone in Norway, for example. So they can, with less costs, make technology more countries can have access to through an international market.
Very good. Yes. Strengthen research and development is one of the big benefits of multinational companies. It's hugely difficult for small companies to do the same research and development as some of these very large companies. By the way, you will have all my presentations, so no need for doing. You will even have it on film. So that is a huge benefit, and that is one of the reasons why research and development is currently undergoing so quick development as it is currently. In the 60s, it was the space program of the US. Now, a lot of the research in the world is undergone in multinational companies. And second to that, also the ability to take on very large projects. Smaller companies, national companies, are not able to take on some of the largest projects in the world. So that is also a huge benefit to society. And then, yes, there is some truth to it that if you're going to buy and you have boats shipping bananas or ananas or whatever, there are an improved global logistics by having companies actually able to organize this logistics across the world. And also what we've seen with the rise of multinational companies, we've all seen a tremendous reduction in trade barriers. Previously in society there were massive trade barriers. Countries trying to protect themselves, having toll rates, etc. on goods. And up until now, and I say up until now, there has been a significant reduction of trade barriers. With the introduction of the Trump administration, that has changed. Because the US has seemingly turned in a more protectionistic direction. And we have gotten a much more efficient financial system. That is a benefit for society, but it's also a curse. So, but there are benefits to a more efficient financial system. And
For
last,
society? Again, for the society?
for the society, for example, previously, have you seen the commercial which goes one generation back, and this guy had to climb over mountains to post a letter?
Is it the Norwegian one?
It's a Norwegian one. Okay, sorry. It's a quite hilarious advertisement on how slow things went before. And yes, the efficiency of the financial system is one of the huge improvements, where it's now possible to transfer money directly between countries. Previously, that was not the case at all. And last but not least, you have a reduced risk of major wars due to a more interconnected world. When more people, more companies have a lot to lose on major wars, the risk of actually getting one is reduced. At least that is theory. We still have to wait and see if it is that in the practice. Did this give meaning to you? Do you think that these are benefits to the society? Do you think that we could have gotten this without multinational companies? Is there some of this that we could have gotten without global companies? I believe this is some of the real benefits that we have gotten from multinational companies. Now, what are the disadvantages of these multinational companies? And I want you to tell me why this is a disadvantage and how it is a disadvantage. So let's start with information asymmetry. You're a journalist, you're supposed to work with information. What is the information asymmetry between national and multinational companies? What does it consist of? Anybody?
Well, if we take it back to development of science, for example,
Mm-hmm.
multinational companies working in big pharma have access to the recipe on how to make a lot of drugs that would save lives in very simple forms, but they choose to sell these medicines at a high price.
Mm-hmm.
And that's information asymmetry between those who maybe need it the most and,
Okay.
and a national company who would like to produce medicine at a lower cost, for example.
Patents expire, companies start to produce them at a lower price. So that, was that me?
That's you.
Oh, sorry about that one.
The American tax.
Yeah. They're advancing fast. So now we will at least not be disturbed. That was not what I was thinking about. There is an information asymmetry between national and multinational companies that is much, much bigger. National companies can get access to patents, they can join with other companies, they can produce medicines, etc. But there is one general information asymmetry that is incredibly huge. And it's multinational companies that has the advantage of it, and it is to the disadvantage of everybody else. Yes?
Taxes, maybe?
Taxes
How they pay
is
taxes?
the second asymmetry.
Okay. Okay.
So what is the information asymmetry?
The multinational companies can base themselves in countries with better or less regulation
Yes,
and
So-
hide the information.
exactly.
Smaller companies have to.
National companies have a tendency to be in those particular countries, and they are under the regulation of these countries. Multinational companies can place companies in any jurisdiction, and that means that they can have a lot of their organization secret, and they can have secret where they are placing their profits within the organization. So this information asymmetry is one of the biggest reasons, largest reasons why multinational companies have a competitive edge over national companies. So, for example, a national company have to provide key financial numbers on their operations. That means that everybody can see it. A multinational company present only these key financials on their total consolidated financial statements and not on any companies below. That means that there is a lot of information that is hidden when it comes to these companies. So then to the tax asymmetry. What are the tax asymmetry between national and multinational companies? Yes.
That the national companies are taxed in the country that they're based.
Yes.
And multinational companies can negotiate deals in different countries that they're operating.
Yes.
For example, Starbucks doesn't pay taxes in Norway.
Mhm.
There are many different
Okay.
example.
Why don't Starbucks pay taxes in Norway when everybody buys coffee from them? Anybody?
Does it have to do with the registration, like where the company's registered?
Well, the registration is not per se a tax asymmetry. They have to do something. So what do they do in order to not pay taxes when they sell coffee in Norway?
Can they do as you did, to put income in one place and expenses in another place and put it towards each other? So in global they're in zero, while in local markets they can be in enormous plus?
Opposite, I think.
Yeah.
Are they in plus in the local market, or are they zero?
They're going zero there.
Yeah.
Because you move your
Yes.
income and expenses between the country.
So how would you move Starbucks revenues out of Norway without the tax authorities in Norway being able to see it or challenge it?
Do you own your own, like a third company, and create the debt?
So how do you create a debt?
If you, for example, buy expensive consulting services from your own daughter company or your own one of the other companies in your structure, so you can pay them a fee for a service.
Yeah, but then the question is, a coffee is a coffee is a coffee. How many consulting services can you create?
Yeah, for the branding of the
Okay,
company.
now we are talking. You may be paying for the branding. Okay, so there is a Starbucks brand. Is that likely to be in the US when Starbucks is in a US company?
It's a multinational company, so it can be where they want to be.
Possibly. Is that natural? Starbucks is a US company. Where did they get all their ideas? The business concept, the brand, anything? In
In the US?
in the US. So where does the brand, where is the brand then supposed to be? In the US. Where is it not? In the US. They have transferred the brand to a tax haven, and then they charge the brand to the Norwegian subsidiary. And since the brand is anything from name to logo to recipes, etc., they will charge a lot for that.
Much more than coffee. Coffee is nothing.
Coffee is nothing. So that is one of the ways that you can use to get a tax asymmetry. You charge so much cost that the revenues in Norway goes to zero, and the opposite revenue is then in tax havens where there is no taxation. So that's the tax asymmetry. And then we have an accounting asymmetry. And what is that?
Similar to the information asymmetry, isn't it?
Almost. Yes. But I think you were guessing.
No, not really.
Okay? So, explain.
Well, accounting is mostly to report income outcome, isn't it?
Yes.
So if you don't have to be as precise in doing that, you don't give as much information.
Yeah. That's one side of it. The other side of it is a totally different thing. You see the parenthesis, the accounting asymmetry between companies doing fair value adjustments and those that don't do fair value adjustments. A fair value adjustment is where you change a balance sheet item. We'll come back to balance sheets. A balance sheet item up to today's value according to some index or stock exchange or market indicator. And when you're doing that, you're changing the valuation of the company. and you are essentially taking into account future revenue and treat it as it were the revenue of today, which means that I can dividend to my shareholders those fair value adjustments, although I have not earned the money yet. That means that I have to borrow money to pay dividends to shareholders and wait until my future revenue is actually realized before I can get the money back and pay down the loan. This is starting to become a little bit complicated. Okay? We'll soon go over to looking at some pictures of this. But that is what is happening. It's creating a current valuation of a future revenue. Companies that are able to take future revenue into today's accounts are more competitive towards investors than companies that are not doing it. Those are the three asymmetries: information asymmetry, tax asymmetry, and accounting asymmetry, that we will talk about the rest of the day and try and have you understand more of the dynamics of the multinational companies and how they are doing things. And then there is lots of things that you as journalists are likely to focus on. And this is this list: consequences of unethical behavior. And this is taken in the degree of smallest to highest. Economic shopping. Have you heard about the race to the bottom? What is the race to the bottom? Anybody? Yes?
Basically that all countries are afraid that they won't attract the international investment, so they keep lowering their tax rate.
Yes. And economic shopping is a huge, huge activity in multinational companies, trying to move revenues out of countries with higher taxes into countries with lower or no taxation. This is one of the difficult aspects of multinational companies. This means that countries are not getting enough taxation to cover the necessary tasks that they have. And it also means that the international society does not collect enough taxation to deal with global problems. So, for example, the climate crisis would easily be financed if multinational companies paid taxes on par with national companies. Yes?
The local argument is that we have attracted new jobs now in the community, and we generate income for those who have the working zone, even if they don't pay so much taxes to the country.
Mm-hmm.
And locally, the politicians have done a good job. I've attracted jobs to the local community for us, and the electorate, yes, I want to vote this party, but I've been able to do that. It's a good thing. What's the problem?
Is it a good thing?
No, but that's the argument. The
Yes.
politicians argue that, and the people are happy about it. So what are you saying that is the bad thing that the people should listen to? So they get angry, I don't like this anyway?
So what do you think?
What you said makes sense. In the global scale, we don't have enough money in the system to solve our big problems. But in the local, it's such a good thing.
Enough money in the system,
Yeah,
but it's in the wrong place. Yeah, it's in the wrong place. So, actually jobs are what the multinational companies are pushing ahead of them. They are creating jobs, and they argue that that is enough. Well, it's not enough. When you compare them to national companies both provide employment, and they provide taxation to the authorities. So that means that already here, multinational companies are not giving the same benefit back to society as national companies.
And then if you don't get them, you don't get this job. So any extra jobs are good, even if you get less tax from them.
Possibly. But what do you do when the jobs leave and are going to somewhere else, and there are no jobs left because you have digital transactions across the border? Then you don't have tax and you don't have jobs, but there is money going out of Norway. So, for example, currently there is tons of money going out of Norway because people are buying stuff, services, digital things, shoes, t-shirts, everything on the internet, and is delivered by Amazon and others. So then you don't have taxes to Norway, you don't have employment in Norway. So that means that people are undercutting their own jobs, don't they?
T-shirts.
They have t-shirts. That's a benefit.
And they're cheap.
And they're cheap. So how many t-shirts can you buy when you're unemployed?
Very cheap.
Very few. So this is one of the things that people really don't think through. Because these multinational companies, they are changing their behavior, they are changing their business models to ensure that they have as little cost as possible. And remind you, people employed is a cost to companies, okay? It's not a revenue, it's a cost.
So in short-term thinking, it's very good politically and for getting votes, but if you think in long-term, it's negative.
It's pretty disastrous
But
for a
it's very
country.
difficult when all politics is in short-term.
Then it's good we have you, which can expose them, hopefully. So, child labor, nobody likes that. War exploitation, where do you have examples of war exploitation in multinational companies? Yes?
Like extracting resources in Congo, for example.
Excellent example.
Yeah, where
Yes.
there's war.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I think make a profit of.
And in DRC, they are doing absolutely everything that anybody has done in wars previously. So, pollution, without picking up the bill, environmental damage, biodiversity destruction, chemical exposure. Why is chemical exposure higher than biodiversity destruction? Yes?
Maybe just because biodiversity destruction takes place slower, or
It is possibly longer, much longer.
so you can predict it now
Yeah,
how much biodiversity you will destruct.
yeah. And you have DNA tampering, which we don't know the consequences of at all. And you have technology disasters, which, for example, the wrong use of artificial intelligence can have unpredictable consequences. We have reached a break.